The heroic Duke of Athens, engaged to Hippolyta, Theseus represents power and order throughout the play. He appears only at the beginning and the end of the story.
Hippolyta, the legendary queen of the Amazons, engaged to Theseus. Hippolyta counters with the more sympathetic idea that even impossibilities can be powerful and moving when they are represented well.
Aegeus. Aegeus is a member of Athenian nobility, but not as elevated as the duke. He asks Theseus to arbitrate in his dispute with his daughter over her proper marriage.
Hermia is Aegeus' daughter, is a headstrong girl. She is in love with Lysander and is a childhood friend of Helena. She is willing to defy not only her father, but also the Duke of Athens himself, in the name of true love.
Helena, a young woman of Athens in love with Demetrius. Demetrius and Helena were once betrothed, but when Demetrius met Helena's friend Hermia, he fell in love with her and abandoned Helena.
Lysander is Hermia's boyfriend. He is just as brave as Hermia herself. He stands up to Theseus and Aegeus when they insist that his girlfriend marry another man, Demetrius. When these men refuse to listen to reason, Lysander doesn't take it lying down. Instead, he comes up with a plan.
Demetrius, a young man of Athens, initially in love with Hermia and ultimately in love with Helena. Demetrius' obstinate pursuit of Hermia throws love out of balance among the quartet of Athenian youths and precludes a symmetrical two-couple arrangement.
Titania is the queen of the fairies, is a beautiful and ethereal creature. She resists the attempts of her husband, Oberon, to make a knight of the young Indian prince that she has been given. Titania's brief portion induces love for Nick Bottom, whose head Puck has transformed into that of an ass, yields the play's foremost example of the contrast motive.
Oberon, the king of the fairies, Oberon is initially at odds with his wife, Titania, because she refuses to relinquish control of a young Indian prince whom he wants for a knight.
Puck, also known as Robin Goodfellow, is Oberon's jester, a mischievous fairy who delights in playing pranks on mortals. Puck is given a task by his master as part of the revenge on Titania. Find a flower that can make love juice.
Nick Bottom, one of Shakespeare's most memorable characters, Bottom the Weaver, is a member of the Mateo Theatre company that plans to perform at the wedding of Theseus and Hippolyta. Though he clearly has no experience in drama, Bottom has a hugely conceited opinion of his own skill as an actor.
And now, a brief summary of A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. Welcome to Athens. Duke Theseus is planning his marriage to Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons. Aegeus interrupts, demanding his daughter Hermia marry Demetrius. She refuses. Aegeus asks for the right thing, to punish Hermia if she won't obey. The Duke agrees. Lysander and Hermia decide to flee by night into the woods, where they can escape the law and get married. They tell their plan to Helena, Hermia's best friend. But Helena is in love with Demetrius, and he was once in love with her. Hoping to regain his favor, she tells him Hermia's plan. Demetrius sets out after the runaway lovers at once. Helena follows him into the woods. Deep in the woods, the king and queen of the fairies are arguing. Titania leaves angrily. Oberon plays a trick. He sends Puck, his mischievous sprite, to fetch a magical flower with the power to induce love at first sight. Demetrius passes by him, lovesick. Helena impursues. Oberon, pitying Helena, commands Puck to put the juice onto Demetrius' sleeping eyes so that, upon waking, he will fall back in love with her. But, Puck mistakes Lysander for Demetrius. Helena finds Lysander and wakes him up. The magic flower works. Oberon realizes the mistake and puts the juice onto Demetrius' eyelids, but Helena believes she's been mocked. Hermia awakes and is shocked at what she finds. Lysander is no longer in love with her, and it seems that Elena has betrayed her. All four lovers begin to quarrel. Meanwhile, a group of Athenian workmen ventures into the wood in search of a place to rehearse Theseus' wedding day play. Puck stumbles upon their rehearsal and decides to cause trouble. Puck transforms the lead actor, Bottom. He turns his head into that of an ass. Titania awakes and she falls in love with Bottom at first sight. She and her fairies taught him for hours. After having a laugh with Puck, Oberon pities his queen and decides to set things right. He releases Titania from the spell, and Puck returns Bottom to his normal self. Puck also pairs Elena with Demetrius and Hermia back with Lysander. The next morning, Theseus and Aegeus come upon the sleeping lovers. Angry, Aegeus demands to punish Hermia. Demetrius intervenes and tells them he is back in love with Helena. Theseus overrules Aegeus and invites both couples to get married that day alongside himself and Hippolyta. Bottom awakes and assumes the whole night was a dream. The actors perform Pyramus and Thisbe for Theseus and Hippolyta, and the lovers at the triple wedding. Everyone goes to bed. Puck tells the audience if they didn't like the play, they should imagine it was all a dream. The end.